offseason is officially here, and the Mets can look to be active not only on the free agent market, but also on the trade market. So today, me and James are going to give you 10, more like 11 or 12 players that we think the Mets could realistically trade for. We need pitching. We need center field. We need bullpen. This team didn't make the playoffs. There's a lot of improvements that need to be made. Before we get going into this list, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel for all the video versions of this podcast. And if you can't watch us, you want to listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drops a rating, drops a review, download, and subscribe. James, I think the top place we have to start with this, number one guy, we've mentioned him before, as long as he's still available, Tarik Skubal, number one target. Mets got to go after him.
Number one target by leaps, bounds, far and away. Different galaxy from the other targets. One, because he's that good of a pitcher. Two, because it just oddly feels realistic. The way that we were linked to Skubal the second that rumor came out, Will Salmon on The Athletic, the way that people in the Mets world keep mentioning it, keep bringing it up, the way that for some reason the Tigers seem to be making him actively available, and the way that because he's only going to be on a one-year deal, he will be very attainable in terms of prospect cost. Every single thing lines up for this to be the quintessential move the Mets make this offseason to wash away the embarrassment of what just happened and put themselves back into us feeling like they're actually a World Series contender.
Yeah, how many times did you guys say Mets need an ace, Mets need an ace, Mets need an ace? This is the ace. If it's not Paul Skeens, it's Tarik Skubal. Those are the two best pitchers in baseball. It's clear, and especially on the left-handed side, you can't really find anybody. Like Garrett Crochet is amazing, top 5 pitcher in the league. Skubal is still a class ahead of Garrett Crochet. He is that good. And while there is the fear, like you mentioned, with that one-year contract, maybe he doesn't sign an extension, nothing's guaranteed. The Mets have the ability, like you said, to give up a prospect haul back to the Tigers that might not be as expensive as people are making it out to be. Like, obviously, there's people on Twitter who are going to put out their trade predictions and their ideas and throw in Benj and throw in Tong and Williams and different guys in different packages. But at the end of the day, because Skubal has that one-year contract left and Scott Boras is his agent, and you know that you're going to have to pay him a lot of money, it's not going to be as expensive as we think.
And we should be confident enough from the Mets perspective to be able to do this because, one, again, we now have, I think, a pretty blatant top 5 farm system in baseball that has elite talent at the top, good talent in the middle of impact major leaguers, and tons of depth of guys in the lower minors that we think can become the next batch of guys we're talking about trading now. And you should be very confident re-signing him because we are the Mets. We have the most money in baseball. Literally. It really shouldn't be a question if you're able to acquire him to re-sign him. So
and
all that.
If there was ever a guy to make the most expensive pitcher of all time, it's Tarik Skubal. It's the guy. Like, we know that the Cohen era at times has spent money frivolously, and we know that David Stearns wants to go out and get the best guys. That's when he wants to make his moves. Tarik Skubal's that guy. They're not trading for Paul Skeens. This is the move. This is the piece.
No, for sure. And there's also some people out there, weird contingency, both of Tigers fans and Mets fans, who are like, the injury concerns are too much. It's just simply going to be every single pitcher. And we've seen now back-to-back years of him be healthy. And I don't know, I could even hear an argument that because there were fewer innings earlier in his career, you might have more innings late in your career. And he has elite velocity. He has elite stuff. Tarik Skubal seems like a guy who will be one of the best pitchers in the league until his late 30s. Like, he's the rare pitcher who I would say, yeah, I'm comfortable with a 9-10-year contract just because he is that caliber of player. There's also a weird contingency of fans, Mets across baseball, who are like, no, I don't want to trade for him. I don't want to deal with that. Let's just wait till the free agent and sign him then. To you guys, I say, don't you want him on your team as soon as possible? Don't you want him in the building?
Don't we want to try and win next year, or we want to push those plans back to another season? Because a guy like Tarik Skubal on the Mets in 2026 instantly makes the Mets a much more serious World Series contender than they are without him. And we know once you get the guy in the building, it's a lot easier to keep him there than if you're trying to take him away from another team. Mookie Betts got traded to the Dodgers, never hit the free agent market. Francisco Lindor got traded to the Mets, never hit the free agent market. You don't want these guys to have the opportunity to go anywhere else. And when Skubal is available, you got to take your shot at him.
Same thing Garrett Crochet last year, never hit the free agent market. That's just kind of what happens here. And there is usually the reluctance of Scott Boras to sign any kind of extensions. But if you tell him Tarik Skubal will be the highest paid pitcher of all time, 10 for 400,
he'll sign it.
I just don't think there's any way you turn that down. I just think unless maybe you try to go out and get 10 for 500 the next year, I still don't know how you turn down being the highest paid pitcher in the history of the sport.
And I do think the Mets would give him that money pretty instantly. I think the day that he passes his physical, they'd be like, so $400 million sound good for the next 10 years? And I think that dotted line would be signed.
And I think that would work for everybody. But just again, before we move on, let's just talk about what you'd give up for him. I want to do all these guys. I think too many videos, podcasts, whatever. Yes. They're like, here, we're going to make these trades. You never talk about returns. I think that I'm sure the Tigers want to do the thing where they get rid of Tarik Skubal, but they still pretend they're trying to win. So they get back some major league caliber-ish players. So like, I think Brandon Sproat would be an absolute perfect piece to headline this deal. And then past that, I don't know who's even matching that. Like that's a pure 50 value future starting pitcher, a mid rotation guy through and through. If you have to go higher than that, you just throw Tong on top. I think that Jet Williams is someone that you could also put into that deal. I'm sure that the Tigers would like him as like a primary position guy to go along with Sproat. But that even is like, I don't even think you have to start there.
Yeah, like, because we comp this to the Corbin Burns trade. While Skubal's probably better than Burns was when he got moved, they didn't give up anything to get Corbin Burns. They gave up DL Hall and Joey Ortiz, both guys who are like fringe Major League Baseball players right now. And it's because they're on the Brewers that they're really getting as much shine as they are. He's going to cost more. Like we know right now, if the Mets went to the Tigers, Jet Williams, Jonah Tong, he's a New York Met. There's a guarantee he will be a New York Met unless the Dodgers or somebody comes in with an even crazier package. But the idea is trying to thread that needle a little bit conceptually for us. The Mets might have to hit the home run and go Jet and Tong to make it actually happen. And I think the Tigers would be well in their right to ask for that. But like you said, Sproat, Jet Williams, maybe Clifford. Like there's a bunch of guys in this Mets system, which luckily they've built up so strong that you can afford to be a little of an overpay per se.
Definitely. And again, you can afford to overpay a little bit when you are confident the extension could be in the offing, which I'm not sure if you could be or you will be, but like similar to the Red Sox, who did go over the top of Garrett Crochet, who had like 200 major league innings in his career, even though we knew how talented he was, giving up multiple high-end players. People who are already in the major leagues playing well. Like this is just simply the time to do that. And if it takes Tong is the highest I go, I wouldn't love to part with him. Again, I'd love, the sweet spot is I still think Sproat and Jet, Sproat and Reimer, Sproat and Ewing, some combination of that, but you just have to do what you have to do here.
Yeah, whatever it takes, honestly, to get it done. As long as we keep Nolan McLean around, I'll be pretty happy. All right, moving on to the next guy. This is going to sound funny. It's going to cost way more to get him if he's actually available. Some rumors that Hunter Green and the Reds could be looking to move him. I mean, it's malpractice again. A shame that Bob Castellini owns the Reds and refuses to spend any money outside of the absolute bare minimum that he has to. But Hunter Green has a ton of control. He's one of the better pitchers in baseball, and he's free for like the next 3-4 seasons.
No, this would be really a black mark on the league if Hunter Green were to be traded. There's a Reds team that just had
this would be lockout as a guarantee if Hunter Green gets traded.
Really, it just should be like, why does this guy still own this team? Like this would be a situation where someone's owning a team to make profit every single year rather than ever considering winning. Hunter Green this year is going to make $8 million. Next year is going to make $15 million. The year after that, $16 million. And the year after that, when he's still only 29 years old, we'll have a club option for $21 million. So you're getting 4 years of Hunter Green for $62 million.
It's free. What do we see? Jack Flaherty just signed for like $20 million last year a year.
With I think an option this year that could pay him up to 30.
Yeah. So like Hunter Green, when all things are clicking, is one of the 10, 15 best pitchers on the planet.
I would say 6,
there you
7.
Go. Okay.
I think he's actually in that top tier. Like I'm comfortable putting him in there. And he's been in that top tier in a place like Cincinnati. That's one of the worst ballparks for his skill set because he is a power pitcher, fastball slider, challenge hitter. It's the worst place in the league for fly balls. Like it would be incredible for him to come here. But at the same time, this is one where I think it would cost Carson Bench.
Yeah, they would have to give up a lot for him because of the control and because of how cheap the contract is. Like you said, 4 for 62. Just so you guys are aware, like Luis Severino got $60 million for 3 years. That's how cheap this contract is. Yeah, like we're going to be paying Sean Manaea more than Hunter Green gets paid.
And again, that's also the factor of the age, how long he's been in the league, the fact that this extension was to buyout arbitration. There was a lot of risk on Hunter Green when he did sign this extension. Yep. He was still someone at the time that couldn't stay healthy. And he still is someone that has those durability concerns just because he throws 101 miles an hour. But at the same time, it's the same ilk of Skubal where you're getting one of the best starting pitchers in the league. It does profile similarly to Crochet where you do have to take a risk. And I think you will have to trade more because of the control that's on him. Where, again, I don't think that this is a realistic conversation without Carson Bench being involved.
Yeah, no, I think Carson Bench, I wouldn't be shocked if they also want Sproat along with that and some of the other prospects have been.
Bench and Tong, truthfully.
Yeah, they're well in their right to. I was going to say if they put Sproat, it might also include some of the other fast risers that have been the Mets system. This one's going to cost an arm and 2 legs.
And it should cost an arm and
Yes.
2 legs. Hunter Green right now, if you lined up every single player's trade value in baseball, he'd be in the top 20,
For sure.
even 15 in the entire league. I know Fangraphs does that chart every single year. I'm curious where they have him. I'll see if I can find it at some point during this video. But he is that high level, high caliber of an asset, a true game one pitcher in a playoff series. I know he just got lit up in the only game one he's ever pitched against the Dodgers, but that's, it's neither here nor there. He's that good. There's tons of risk involved. It'll be much more prospect capital. But if he's available, similarly to we talked about Tarik Skubal, you throw your hat in the ring because he's an ace.
100%. Another guy who is definitely a frontline starter. I think you could debate whether he's the best two or one of the back end ones. Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers. $8 million option seems too rich for the Milwaukee Brewers' blood, apparently.
Embarrassing.
Another one of those where it's like they should not be trading this guy. And I will say this, until they do, I don't actually believe it because, again, that contract is so cheap for Freddie Peralta. It's weird because of how cheap he is. He might actually cost a decent bit, and there's no real incentive for them to move on from that contract either.
No, but the one thing similar to Skubal is that this is the last year Freddie Peralta will be a Milwaukee Brewer. And I think a team like the Brewers fairly have earned the hubris to be able just to trade these guys because they know they have another pitcher coming up behind. Like they know they're going to have big rotation depth. At the same time, you just watched your team fail miserably against the best team in baseball, like at the time. And you saw that you just didn't have enough guys to do it. So instead of trying to accumulate more guys to do it, you're dumping the one guy you want to do it. I don't like it. I hate it. We're going to keep saying this every single time we throw up one of these guys. It's not us having the East Coast cockiness. It's just that we know that 20 of the teams in baseball don't try to win baseball games. So that's just what it comes down to. At the same time, I want their players.
Yeah, ownership doesn't care about winning baseball games. I think the front office is actively very much trying to win.
And again, I'd found Hunter Green, number 29 on Fangraphs trade value chart for this past year, which I think is honestly a little low. If I'm going to be honest with you.
But that also probably is going to get bumped going into the next season.
Definitely. Him and Ketel Marte, who might be on this list, not right next to each other on that. But at the same time, Freddie Peralta, similarly being on a one-year deal, will be cheaper than Tarik Skubal, will be far cheaper than Hunter Green. You're looking at a Sproat flip.
Yeah. They probably would take that.
And Sproat's name keeps coming up, but that's because he's major league ready. I think teams are confident that he's a mid-rotation guy.
There's 98.
With a great sweeper, a feel for a changeup, upside for more. And he can right now go into a team's rotation next year. A team like the Reds and the Brewers, who will be trying to make the playoffs next year despite trading top-end talent.
Yes, and give you 150 innings and be probably pretty okay.
This episode of FT is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Give me an example in Pennsylvania, Kratz.
Right down the street from my house, the Tap House. Not only is it an awesome place to hang out, get your beers, get your drinks, whatever it is, but you know what? The company has the simplicity of Square, and they give back to the community with 10% of all the proceeds that they bring in going back to community projects.
I love it. Sports and sports bars are so good at bringing together local communities, and you can actually take this ad as an excuse to go support your local spot and have yourself a day or a weekend in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. So visit square.com/go/foul to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Again, that's square.com/go/foul to learn more.
And Freddie Peralta made a lot of changes this year that were really cool. Like Freddie Peralta had always kind of had the stain of being, not the stain, but like he was just a fastball slider guy. That kind of made him being like a chaos pitcher a little bit, similar to when we've talked about Dylan Cease as an option for the Mets this offseason. If you lose command of one of those two pitches, you're fucked. And Freddie Peralta is a guy who could lose command in the past. This year, tons of great development on his changeup and curveball. Makes me, again, confident that you can give him a 5 for 125, 5 for 100. It's 5 for 150 insane for Freddie Peralta. Kind of feels crazy, but like that might be what he costs when he gets to the open market, like Robbie Ray-ish.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy like where if there was someone I would be down to wait for, unless he is so cheap, he's the one I'm like, I'd rather go after Skubal, wait for Peralta if he hits the market.
Definitely, but also like Freddie Peralta, if you look back over the last full few years in Major League Baseball, like he's just a very good starting pitcher.
Yes.
He's since the beginning, last 3 seasons, 3.40 ERA. That's great. 500 innings in 3 years. Like that's one of only, doing the math right now, one of only 19 guys to have 500 innings over the last 3 years with a top 20 ERA. Like he is
very good.
He's a good, very good pitcher. If he's your 1, like you feel fine, you don't feel great. But if he's your 2, you feel spectacular. And
yes. Get them both.
I was about to say, like the crazy thing is, like I don't know how insane we're going to be about our trades this offseason, but I can see us being a little bit crazy because we finally have the farm system in place. I think we're confident in the player development machine. The Mets actually do have enough to pull off 2 trades. Again,
They have a lot of trades they could pull off.
we're being crazy right now. We're having some fun talking. We're always excited to do off-season content. The Mets'd podcast. Like, the Mets have Tarik Skubal and Freddie Peralta on the team next year. I'm gonna go ballistic.
Oh, it'd be unbelievable. What a flip of a rotation that would be.
Like, suddenly you have
McLean's
now
3.
we're just living in a fantasy world right now.
Of course.
I don't know what's going to come out before this video or after this video, but we're going to do an out of the park, another full off-season out of the park.
It's going to be our first moves we make.
Maybe we pull this one off. Why not, right?
Yeah, see what Tarik Skubal and Freddie Peralta would cost us to bring in. All right, another guy that we know is going to be interesting on the trade market, just to group in another pitcher here, Sandy Alcantara. Name's been floated around forever. We know the Marlins are probably going to look to move on from him, even though he is still a good pitcher. The season wasn't great. The Marlins are in a weird spot where they were close-ish, but Sandy probably isn't about the future plans, and knowing Peter Bendix, this would be a guy to cash in on to help the future rather than maybe being closer to a wild card team at this exact moment.
And weirdly, the Marlins have pitching depth for days. The Marlins probably have 2 of the best pitchers in the upper minors right now. They're yet to debut in Robbie Snelling and Thomas White, ready to go in the minor leagues. Would be, I would say, solid opening day pitchers in their staff. And while I do think they want to contend for wild card berth, they're just going to be agile. That's the way Peter Bendix is. That's the way he was with the Rays. That's the way the Marlins have the best shot to get themselves forward. And I think a lot of people are going to be obsessed with Sandy Alcantara's full season stats. The fact that he had the 5.3 ERA, he didn't really strike tons of guys out. He walked a few more guys than we're used to seeing from him, at least since he broke out. But if you just look at the second half, when it seemed like he finally started to shake that Tommy John rust off, it was a 13 start sample where he threw 83 innings and had 3.3 ERA, slight uptick in strikeouts, pretty significant downtick in his walk rate, and he went at least 6 innings in every single start except 2 in the second half. This is still a frontline pitcher.
100%. And the contract is really affordable. It's basically 2 years, $40 million for the next 2 seasons, 17 this year, 21 the next year. Comping that to guys on the market, Lucas Giolito, who blew out his arm and signed with the Red Sox, signed for 2 for 38. Chris Sale, 2 for 38 extension. Jack Flaherty, 2 for 35. Frankie Montas, 2 for 34. I mean, these contracts are so free for a guy like Sandy, who, unlike any of the guys that we just mentioned, has the ability to go back to being a frontline starter. He might not ever be that Cy Young ace guy again, but the fact that he does throw 98, still throws a bunch of strikes. Another one that you mentioned, you would love to have Sandy as number 2 in your rotation. You'd feel great.
Would you rather, just as a pitcher for the next, just for the next year, Sandy or Freddie Peralta?
Probably Freddie Peralta. I think Freddie Peralta. I can feel confident in that.
And I would say that Sandy probably costs more in a trade than Freddie, but you do get that extra year. But also I don't know. I'm sure this comes into the conversation with a lot of the executives right now. With the lockout looming, you probably do give so much more credence to this year than another year. That second year of control for Sandy probably doesn't hold as much weight as it would in a different offseason.
Especially because if they miss a month, you're like, oh, great. Yeah. One less month of the guy I just traded for.
And again, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but guys did opt out of 2020 season. It's not the same thing. And then they still got that year where they got to that still was acknowledged on their contract. So I do think that's interesting because Sandy with a de facto 2 years of control costs a little bit more. Also, I don't know exactly what the Marlins would want. And that's where I'm in a weird spot with trying to pick out a proposal for them.
Ronnie Mauricio.
Why do they want Ronnie Mauricio?
The reason I say that is because, one, they have no infield prospects whatsoever. Their infield is horrendous.
They have tons of infielders that they're
but Ronnie does the thing that the Rays loved in the past, which is major league ready player. All you need to do is make the adjustment at the major league level, which Peter Bendix did great with the Rays, did great this year with the Marlins. Yeah. If you can get Ronnie Mauricio in terms of these MLB ready players, we're looking at max exit velo. There's one of the highest ceilings there is. He can hit the ball harder than almost anybody in baseball. So maybe just a few quick little tweaks to his game, and you feel like you have a guy who could be I don't want to say cornerstone, but someone that you help build around with this Marlins organization.
I still think with that, you certainly need to give more than just Ryan.
It wasn't just him.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just him. But I'm saying I think they want a major league-ish ready players. That's what I think going to be targeting, 4A or guys who could be in AAA making their major leagues in the next year or two.
I think that even with that, you probably still have to give up one of our next tier of pitching prospects, one of the Wenninger, Santucci, Will Watsons. That one of those guys definitely in the mix for that as well. We're also again, you tell me that return, I think that's commensurate with different frontline starting pitcher packs we've seen the last few years. I do think that's something that I'd be kind of okay with.
Like, shit, I'd love to give him Vientos, but I doubt they're going to take him.
Not anymore. I mean, again, like Wenger's probably the one guy from that list I just said who I want to hold the most. I do like Will Watson a lot too, but I think he's a little bit less.
What about Tucci?
Tucci? I like Tucci, but Tucci, I need to see it. I got to see that changeup from Tucci.
Yeah.
I think that we saw a little bit more in college and we've seen the pros so far. Maybe the Mets just wanted to have him perfect the 2 before we get to 3 while knowing that you need the 3 to take the next step. So maybe this year, AA, like the big Q for Tucci is, I want to call him Tucci. I think we just figured that out. He's Tucci.
Yeah, he's Tucci.
I think that's the cue this year. Like you got to start seeing the changeup now that you're in the upper minors because you can't just, you can get away with it in the lower minors. You probably still get away with AA with the elite fastball slider combo, but we need to see more. But I'm kind of falling in love with Wenninger, especially the fact that Wenninger has like the horse build. Like I love a guy like Will Watson with the low slot fastball and the slider building off it, but I always get scared about what future workloads would look like and home run rates look like for guys who are 6'1", 180 with great shape fastballs that are only 94 miles an hour.
Which is very funny because we have a guy on this
same
list
thing.
that's the exact same build.
Literally the same guy as
We'll
that.
just talk about him real quick.
Throw him in. I mean, we're doing the pitchers part of this first, and I guess we'll get other positions after.
Yeah, Joe Ryan. We know the Twins.
Will Watson.
Yeah, it's the Will Watson build that's being really, really generous to Will Watson. Disrespectful to Joe Ryan, who's
the build.
Again, the build is the same. The quality of pitcher is not the same because Joe Ryan is a top 20 pitcher in the game. He's really, really good. The fastball is fantastic. Gives up home runs. We like everything that you just mentioned.
Worried about durability.
Yeah, worried about durability. That being said, he's going to be available. Twins are going to be selling. They got the weird ownership thing going on. They stink. Like I can't imagine that they're dying to keep Joe Ryan around. But also at the same time, if the Twins ever wanted to compete, they're like 2 signings away from winning the AL Central.
I mean, they may even 1 signing away from the AL Central. Like seriously, they might be like 1 reliever and 1 just position player of a random position away from winning the AL Central.
Yeah, because they got Baldelli and his stink out of there. So,
and just for clarification, like the Twins also could trade Pablo Lopez. The Marlins also could trade Edward Cabrera, but we've heard very little about those guys on the trade front. And those guys also have more control than Sandy and Joe Ryan, who we're mentioning. So I think it's worth highlighting those 2, but focusing this attention on Sandy and Joe Ryan. Ryan is fun. I think that we're almost at a point where Joe Ryan has maybe he's already superseded what his talent actually is in terms of the pitcher he is. We love velocity in the Mets'd podcast. We love stuff in the Mets'd podcast. And while Joe Ryan has sensational fastball shape, he's had trouble in his career sustaining plus velocity. And when he's had the most velocity in his career in 2024, that's also when he got hurt. He missed the last 2 months of that season. This year, he sustained the whole season, slightly better velocity, couldn't get back to 94, 95 from 24. This year was more than 92 to 94. And he's still an elite pitcher. I still think he's a top 20 guy in the game. But he, to me, is bucketed with Freddie Peralta. Similarly, has developed more secondary stuff that's helped him get to that spot, though.
Do you remember who Joe Ryan was originally traded for? Twins going to the Rays. Any idea?
Was it Nelson Cruz?
Nelson Cruz and one of your boys in the relief.
One of my boys in relief.
Now
I can't
on
remember.
The Marlins.
Who?
Calvin Fauché.
Ah, fun one. That was Joe Ryan also, just to tie this back to Will Watson. He had the same hipster prospect pedigree that Will Watson's starting to get now, where the people who are like, this is something that isn't, again, it's time for Joe Ryan who's even more hipster, because I think publicly we weren't as focused on fastball shape yet. That was when we were just also like high fastballs, kill sinkers. Like that was the prospect wave for Joe Ryan, like 2018, 2019, when he was starting to get famous. That was also when we kind of felt like the Rays were starting to lose their fastball in terms of acquisitions, where they were like, why are they making this trade? Everyone loves Joe Ryan, but it's a fun system. But I don't know how confident I am in giving Joe Ryan a huge extension. You also don't have to, because you have until 2028.
And that's why I think the Mets would be interested in, is he could be a frontline starter without having to ever pay him a lot of money.
Or at least get a lot more data on him before we have to consider paying him a lot of money.
Because he's going to hit free agency at like 31 or 32, I think. So it's a little less enticing than some of these other guys for extensions.
He's arbitration eligible right now. So, yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some hitters.
Wait, it's 4. What do you want to trade for Joe Ryan?
Similar-ish package to what you said for Sandy.
Yeah, I think he might be a tiny bit more, truthfully, because he got 2 full years of control on him.
Probably, but like
26, 27, not free agent until 28.
That's the same thing as Sandy.
No, Sandy. Oh yeah, 2 full years. Yeah, right. Yeah,
okay. I think they're comparable. I think Joe Ryan, slight more. You might get one better prospect, or maybe more prospect capital rather than MLB ready guys. It depends what the Twins want.
I think young prospects too. Like Joe Ryan's a guy where I could see the Twins just to say it, just asking for Elian Pena.
Yeah, because they're like, give us the fun 17-year-old you got.
Yeah, 18 now.
Oh, he's 18 now?
So I do think that would be someone that where there's that name could come up. I think the Mets honestly though still would balk if anybody brought them up.
I do. I agree. All right, now for hitters.
Bats.
I want Ketel Marte. I want him so bad. Ketel Marte is criminally underrated in Major League Baseball. And he's starting to get the respect that he deserves, which I'm happy about. But like the fun stats I always like to read out. It's like, do you know Ketel Marte was 7th in WRC plus this year in Major League Baseball? 145. That was ahead of Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Corbin Carroll, Vlad Jr., who's a superstar. Rafael Devers, like he had a better WRC plus than Jose Ramirez. Like these are elite players. The only guys better are like Soto, Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, Judge. He also plays a completely acceptable second base. It's not good. It's not bad. But when you hit like Ketel Marte, you don't really mind it. The two big issues with him, one, Diamondbacks probably might not want to trade him. We know there was the weird rumors about his commitment to the team in the second half of the season, but Geraldo Perdomo squashed those. Also, he costs a lot of money, and he's injury prone. Those are kind of the big elephants in the room.
And it's the injuries that are just always kind of there. It's really just annoying ticky-tack nonsense. Can I read you out the history of Ketel Marte's injuries? Every single reason he's missed a game in his major league career?
Hit me.
All right, this can take a while, so you got to strap in. Foot, groin, hamstring, ankle, lower body, hand, back. That was just 2025 and 2024.
I mean,
we're playing operation here.
God, a lot of muscle. Sounds like not a lot of water, not a lot of stretching.
Illness, knee, quad, back, undisclosed. Hamstring, hand, hip, hamstring, wrist, back, hamstring, leg, back, groin.
Just get this guy stretching and he'll be healthy.
I hate how often you hear the word hamstring in a situation like that because that's the one that
it's the Jose Reyes killer.
Yeah, because Ketel Marte, sneaky old as well.
He's like 32?
Yeah, turned 32. So you're still kind of like hoping that you get the elite version of Ketel Marte, but again, like you said at the top, this year his OPS for the season was nestled between Juan Soto and Corbin Carroll. This is a super elite hitter at the end of the day. One that's not really available very often.
No. And we don't know if he is, but it's a name that I want to throw out there, and I'll always throw out. Let's trade salaries. We'll give you Brandon Nimmo and some prospects. You give us Ketel Marte.
I think that is where this one becomes interesting. I was hoping you wanted to bring up the Nimmo aspect because Ketel Marte is he's only in the second year of a 6-year, $117 million extension. So he's due 5 for 100 straight up after this with some escalators.
He's a way better player than Nimmo. And Nimmo, even in a world where the Diamondbacks say yes, Nimmo would have to say yes too because he got a no trade clause. But my crazy
Both
brain
have no trade clauses.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Ketel does too.
Ketel had a 5-team no trade list, and then he has full no trade protection starting 2026 via 10-5 rights.
There you go. All right.
10-5 rights for you guys when a player is in the league for 10 years and it's with one team for 5.
There we go. Simple. But yeah, I love Ketel.
Yeah, Ketel's also I love looking at the escalators, the little bonuses guys get in their contracts for things. Ketel Marte gets money for plate appearances. So every year he gets $500K for 500 plate appearances, another $500K for 550, and $750K for 600, and $750K for 625. So if Ketel Marte gets 625 plate appearances, he just made $2.5 million.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to pay him that extra $2 million. That means he's playing.
And the Nimmo aspect's interesting because we've said before, and we're going to say a lot this offseason, I think that the Mets want to trade Brandon Nimmo.
I think they almost have to.
It's a contract that David Stearns didn't sign. It's a contract that David Stearns wouldn't sign. And it's a player that Brandon Nimmo's still a good year. Brandon Nimmo's still a good player. You don't lose because of Brandon Nimmo, but in terms of seeking flexibility with a roster, that's a spot where you'd love to have some. You'd love to just have more athletic corner outfielders. As crazy as that is to say.
He was horrible in left field this year.
Yeah, he graded fine. We know we see the public grades being fine, but we know that these teams have different defensive metrics than OAA and DRS and the inside because we know how flawed those are. And those have been developed by, again, it's the public sphere. And just watching Brandon Nimmo run, you know you can get a more athletic corner outfielder. So if you could attach him, they're due a very similar amount of money for it, and Nimmo's do it for fewer years. So if you flip that, where the Diamondbacks could also use an outfielder and they can sell, like, hey, and they have infield depth relatively in their systems. You can kind of sell that and then being like, we're going to add, again, pitching prospects that we have similar. Talk about the Will Watsons, talk about the Santucci's, maybe throw in one of the Reimers or the Ewings. If you even have to go that far with the salaries matching, like it is something that I'm sure this conversation will happen behind the scenes.
Yes, and hopefully it goes in our favor. Another salary conversation, talk, trade guy here, Luis Robert Jr. You guys heard me and James, but I was so damn loud about how bad
vociferous.
Yeah, Luis Robert. I said I'd drive Mark Vientos to Chicago and back. Like I'll do anything. I still think this guy, change of scenery, he is going to go back to being an all-star caliber player. All the under the hood stuff looks fantastic. Was actually pretty good last year, the under the hood stuff. Played
Actually best of his career.
Yeah, played elite defense, got on base, hit the ball hard. He probably just looks around and goes, where did all my friends go? Because he was brought up, the team won. Then they said, wait, we need to bring in Tony La Russa. He poisoned the White Sox, along with Jerry Reinsdorf being an idiot and everybody else in that organization still using pen and paper, or pencils and paper. And then all of a sudden, Luis Robert's the only guy from those teams that had success on this roster. I'm sure he wants to get the fuck out of there. I want him on the Mets.
And Luis Robert is still an elite defensive player, so you have that floor. And again, the $20 million was a sticking point for Luis Robert, and we talked about him a lot at the trade deadline. And if you look at the free agent market this year, you're probably not getting a player that has a 2-win floor for $20 million. That probably is actually basically what it costs. Like, I don't think Trent Grisham's getting $20 million a year, but he's probably going to get not much less than that. And you probably give multiple years. That's a little bit more risk, even though I don't know if it's that big of a risk. But this Luis Robert, I think it's a 2-win floor, and I think it's a 5 or 6 win ceiling. Like, I still think that's in there because you're getting elite center field defense. And he just had the best chase rate of his career, just had the best walk rate of his career. His bat speed is still super elite. His sprint speed is still super elite. Like, this is a premier athlete who's still in the prime of his career, who you have a unique opportunity to buy low right now. And I think that's something that was considered at the deadline and should be strongly considered again, given the Mets' gaping hole at center field.
Yeah, he could be a difference maker in this team. He could really change not only offensively, but more so defensively what this team looks like.
Do you think that Mark Vientos is still on the table?
100%.
Is that a trade you'd make?
Yes.
I think I would like to know, you guys in the comments, what you would do about Luis Robert, because we know how divisive that was in July after what we saw from the Mets down the stretch, and Mark Vientos especially in September. Want to know what you guys think about Mark Vientos for Luis Robert Jr. swap?
I mean, I do Ronnie for him too. Like, either one of those I'd be okay with.
What about as we get down to some of the more fun younger guys? Would you do like a Clifford and a Ewing?
No, too much.
Which one of those do you like more?
Clifford.
I still can't get you in on Ewing, huh?
It's not that I'm not in on Ewing. It's just seeing what Clifford, like the underlying stuff in AAA, feels like he could be. Again, we say this is the laziest comp ever, but Lucas Duda, but maybe a little better.
Could be like a better version of Mark Vientos.
Yeah, literally a better version of him. AJ Ewing's the
piss
fun
people
one.
off.
I'm gonna need a little more on him still.
Yep. All right, moving on. Another hitter. I think this is the last big hitter we're going to talk about. And this is one I don't really want to talk about because this means something else will not happen. But
yes.
Wilson Contreras on the Cardinals. Wilson Contreras has said a few times he doesn't want to be traded, but at the same time, we've heard the Cardinals say that they're going to tear this motherfucker down from the seams.
Yes.
The Cardinals, after having an offseason where they signed no baseball players, might have to do that again while trading every single member of their core that has any value. And oddly, Wilson Contreras is a guy that has kind of significant value.
Yeah, Contreras was low-key good. He's made the change from catcher to first base. Still could catch, by the way, in a pinch. Totally an emergency catcher. But when you look at, hitters at first base this year, Wilson Contreras was like around the top 10 in WRC plus, still put up 20 homers, 80 RBIs, walks.
And that's also
enough.
missing time with injury.
Yes, walks enough, doesn't strike out a ton. Like, he's a good baseball player. Obviously, Pete Alonso is way better. Pete had the highest WRC plus of any qualified first baseman in baseball this season. So there is a difference. There is a drop-off here. But Wilson Contreras wouldn't be such a dramatic drop-off for what we would have to pay him and also what we would give up, which pretty much wouldn't be that much.
No, Wilson Contreras has 2 years and $36.5 million left due to him, and that's with the club option the following year for $17.5 million. And that's signed through 36 years old, which is the sticking point we've talked to you guys a lot about with wanting to re-sign Pete Alonso, being like, we all know he looks like a 35, 36. Now we're trading for a guy 35, 36. But at the same time, Wilson Contreras still has the elite bat speed. He's still showing the elite bat to ball year over year. Wilson Contreras has never been a bad hitter. And
always mashed.
The other element about Wilson Contreras that's interesting is that we knew about how do you want to call this? The way the Mets clubhouse kind of evolved over the year.
The clicks.
Yeah, the clicks of it. Wilson Contreras is a player that, for lack of a better term, has some shit to him. This guy is not going to let players take it easy. He's someone that is a bit of that rah-rah guy. He's a bit of a hothead. We saw the tirade he had with an umpire towards the end of the season. He's a little nuts.
Or he's a little juice. That
there's some people I think want that for the Mets. I can see some people being like, I'm scared of throwing a match into this gasoline that we've poured all over the Mets clubhouse here. But I can see there being some value in what that could bring.
And that's, of course, if the Mets don't bring back Pete Alonso. We want
Only
Pete
if the Mets don't
Alonso.
back Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
We want Pete Alonso. We're on the record. We both want Pete Alonso back in the Mets. But and we're going to have another episode for you guys soon about every other first base option that could possibly exist if we don't bring back Pete Alonso. And it'd be foolish not to mention Wilson Contreras with them.
100%. Last two guys here that we'll briefly talk about, not nearly as cool, but
Going to get
this
weird.
is the Mets the podcast. We got to get weird. On the pitching side, James bullpen arm, Carlos Estevez. We might need a closer. There's a chance if Edwin Diaz
And we still need a
doesn't come
setup
back.
man.
And we still need a setup man no matter what. Carlos Estevez could do either of those roles.
Well, Carlos Estevez, sneaky, led the league in saves this year.
Did he really?
Led the league in saves this year. You would never know it. And Carlos Estevez still sits 96, still gets up to 98, 99.
He doesn't have
Again,
to face Francisco Lindor, so that's good.
Huge plus for Carlos Estevez. I mean, he had a good year by ERA and WHIP. He still has good stuff. Like I said, it's not like the best profile ever. Carlos Estevez, and we say this all the time, doesn't really get that many swings and misses, which is why I wouldn't really love having him as my closer. But a team like the Royals always kind of likes to add talent. Again, the Royals are one of the teams of baseball that absolutely tries to win as much as they can, given the revenue. Yes, given the revenue they create. So I don't know if they would dump Carlos Estevez, but he's due to $11 million for 1 year. So
It could be a Jeff McNeil for Carlos Estevez swap.
and maybe you throw in a prospect or you kick in the money for McNeil to make him cost the same as Estevez. If the Royals, who are going to be starting Michael Massey possibly at second base, want to upgrade there. So, and it's a situation where they might know he's not an elite reliever. We know that Jeff McNeil's not an elite second baseman anymore, but it's kind of just deal from what you can for either guy. And it's we just want to throw him out there because we wanted to find a reliever that was making enough money on a smaller market team where a team could want to trade them.
Last guy we're going to throw out here that
Is your guy.
this is my guy. This is my chaos baby that I'm trying to start. I think Garrett Mitchell might be available. Like looking at the way that this Brewers roster pans out, Garrett Mitchell doesn't really have a spot, which is kind of crazy to say, but they like Isaac Collins. They like Blake Perkins. They've got Chorio. They've got Sal Frelick. They play Jake Bowers every single day. Like they use that outfield spot, and it's very, very flexible. Garrett Mitchell's had injury history, which is a reason to get rid of him for the Brewers. You don't want to keep a guy around who's not going to play.
Serious injury history.
Serious injury history. He dropped in the draft because he has diabetes. I don't know how much that plays into it, but he did drop in the draft.
Didn't he also have a college injury?
Maybe.
I thought he had a shoulder or something back then too.
I think he did, but also the diabetes thing, people were a little bit worried about because he was like, he was a top 10 talent, like coming out of the draft considered wise, but he fell to the Brewers later on. And we know that the Mets need a center fielder. And if you're going to play Tyrone Taylor, here's a perfect platoon option. Garrett Mitchell, left-handed bat, play center field, good defense, good athlete. It's risky. I don't know what it would cost you. Again, he's just starting to become arbitration eligible this year. So this is also maybe the Brewers don't want to pay him, but it may be more so 2027 offseason they consider trading him and moving on. Just a name I want to throw out there as an interesting former top prospect, guy who hasn't really gotten the chance to prove himself yet at the major league level.
Yeah, and again, there's no reason for the Brewers to trade him. Want to clarify that, but just the fact that this year Isaac Collins and Blake Perkins both proved themselves. They're both athletic, switch hitting guys who can play. I mean, Collins isn't like really truly center fielder, but he can play center in a pinch. Perkins is a plus defensive center fielder, and that they still have Chorio who could play center field, and they still have Sal Frelick who can play center field. The Brewers just kind of shit these guys out. It's very easy, and we talked to you guys recently about how Nick Morbido kind of is really looking to be this archetype for the Mets, like the first development of our own little Sal Frelick, Blake Perkins type of player that probably will be on this 40-man roster next year. So that's another part here. But Mitchell's just, it's like a better version of the Jose Siri trade.
Yes.
Where you're betting on attributes, you're betting on what you think is still talent and pedigree. And it's a guy that
he's actually really good when he plays.
Small sample, he has been a very good baseball player in Major League Baseball, but you do wonder if, again, it's also elite bat speed, which we love. He's good at not swinging at pitches out of the strike zone. He does make proper swing decisions and cannon for an arm, which we need more of those. We felt this year how much not having good arms in our outfield hurt this team time over time. He's an athlete. He can run. Like he's someone you take a risk on, and you could probably get away with trading just, anyone in the lower minors that is of interest.
Also a David Stearns first round pick, by the way.
David Stearns first round pick.
David Stearns first round pick.
We have forgotten to give a trade package for some of these guys, but I do think like Wilson Contreras, you could trade kind of like nothing for him.
Yeah, pretty much not. Take the money.
Yeah, and Garrett Mitchell, you can also kind of probably get away with trading like almost nothing.
Jeremy Rodriguez type guys.
Yeah, someone who's toolsy, maybe someone we even know about yet. There may be one of like the recent kind of toolsy draft picks like the Cam Lohman or the Peter Cusao.
Could be a Boston Barrow. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be something that's interesting for the Brewers just to make another Garrett Mitchell in 3 years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Just figure it out. And then just because we're agents of chaos, J-Ram said he's not signing an extension unless the Guardians prove to him that they're trying to win. If he asks for a trade, I know a team that definitely will come knocking. Pair him back up with Lindor.
Definitely. And you can put Brett Baty as the feature to that package so that you could tell the Guardians, similar to what happened with Lindor and Andres Jimenez, here you guys go. Starter at the position. You're good
Free,
to go.
yeah.
Ahmed Rosario too. Like, here you go.
Take Jonah Tong, sure.
He's going to be a 3-win player next year. Like, you could, a major league executive be like, if we could just fill in the pieces around Brett Baty, we'll get the same amount of production as Jose Ramirez. And if it's even kind of available, again, similar to Skubal, similar to Hunter Green, similar to Ketel Marte, when elite players are available, the Davis Stearns front office has proven they're going to go out and get them. Steve Cohen, we know, you guys just watch the World Series. You need dogs if you want to win World Series games. That's what the Mets need, dogs. Jose Ramirez is the biggest dog in the league almost.
And that was like 30 plus minutes of us giving you 10
40.
guys that we think the Mets could 100% trade for this offseason. We'd love to know if there's anybody we missed. Down in the comment section on YouTube, let us know. Make sure you are subscribed to the Mets'd podcast, not just on YouTube, but also on the audio side, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiana.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We will catch you all in the next episode. See you next time. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Go Mets.